For tuning in to the Unaffiliated Creators Podcast. I'm your host, kaeveryday. This is the indie artist safe place, so take off your shoes, get comfortable, and stay a while. Do us a favor and please rate the show. And if you have any feedback for us, please email us at unaffiliatedcreatives@gmail.com. The snippet you heard playing was a song titled I See You by indie artist Michael the Starseed. Now that everybody has taken off their shoes and gotten comfortable, Michael, what you been up to?
I've been good. I started the day in some sunshine. I feel peaceful.
All right, so you got sunshine and you got peace. I like that. So I feel that a person's name says a lot about them. So with that being said, can you explain to us the meaning of your stage name, Michael the Starseed?
So a starseed is someone who understands their origin from being up above. And for me, that's literal for everyone. Even on a scientific, like molecular basis, like the substance of your body and your existence comes from the matter of stars. So there's a spiritual connotation to that as well, and that shows in my music.
All right. If you would take a couple of minutes and talk to us about how it's been growing up in Randolph, Massachusetts.
So it's an interesting experience. So I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. Then we moved out to Randolph. Randolph is a community where, like, for example, in high school, the demographic was 52% Black. And what happens is that Boston being one of the most segregated cities in the country, a lot of the Black community wind up moving to other places like Randolph, Brockton. You know what I mean? Like people who are locals, like this is like not new information. So with that being said, you know, my mother's from Dorchester, so my experience was very interconnected between going from Randolph to Brockton to Dorchester, and it was really just one like extended kind of experience where there's different like communities, there's different you know, from the outside in it's segregated, but from the inside out it's diverse. So there was a lot of Haitians growing up, but there's also a lot of Vietnamese people. Like some people will call Randolph like the Vietnam of Massachusetts. So in that, and like growing up and coming out of that, like it was a very normalized thing for me to be in a very like multicultural space. That I realized that like moving on to other spaces, that's not necessarily normalized, and that's like a blessing that I had in that experience.
All right. I know this probably gonna sound like a crazy question, but if you could try to tell us your first music memory.
My first music memory?
Yeah, like as a child growing up, like what was maybe the first song that you could remember ever hearing, either on the radio or maybe it was a song that your parents played?
Ooh, I know it actually. So, if you are Caribbean, you know exactly what I'm about to say. So there's this toy that like Caribbean families be having. My mom is from St. Thomas. It's this fish. It's like this base fish, and you press a button on it, and it plays "Don't Worry, Be Happy" by Bobby McFerrin. And that was like the first song that I like actually like, you know how like when you're a kid, like you're not always like on in your brain. Like that was a moment that I remember like I started like, oh, like this is an actual experience that's happening to me. And that was the first thing. It was "Don't Worry, Be Happy." And I would just press that button over and over and over again. And I just, you know, fell in love with music ever since.
All right. So on your social media bio, it says that you are an alien in a human body. Can you explain to us exactly what you mean by that?
So that's like plays into being me named Starseed, and also my experience with mental health. So I'm a self-discovered neurodivergent individual. I you know, have experienced diagnoses of like bipolar type 2, major depression with psychotic effects, ADHD. You know, that's something that wind up contextualizing a lot of my experiences. So it always felt like different, you know what I mean, special, so on and so forth. And that played out in my school experiences. So it made me feel alienated. So in the beginning, that was like a negative thing, or like, but then over time, it became like, this is just my experience with something distinct about me. And instead of it being like I'm alienated, separated from everyone else, it's like I come from a separate space within myself, and that gives me something to offer. So like an alien, they may come, we come in peace, we come with alien technology or something like that. That's how I view it. Is like, okay, I come with a different perspective. I come with a different energy. I come with a different vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like you see me, you know what I'm saying? I'm a human. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. I was born on Earth. You know what I'm saying? I literally just said I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. You know what I mean? So I'm not delusional about that in any type of way. So that's like that duality of it, where like on the outside, I understand the reality of it, and I have an inner reality to it as well.
All right. So if it's not too personal, tell us something that you enjoy doing that's not related to music.
A lot of things dancing is related to music. I like to read. I like to throw events. I mean, that's also connected to music too. But I'm invested in community and specifically with mental health. So um, this evening, for example, there's an Afrofuturism book club that me and my friends are putting together. And in that, like, I did the poster, so like I like visual art. But I like talking about the different types of literature that we can read. Books written by Black women and Black men, and books about science, that kind of stuff.
All right. So I was trying to give you a segue, but I guess I'm just going to have to come right out and ask you the question. So I see that you are the creator, and I hope I don't say the name wrong, or the Nova Punk Mythos. Can you take a few minutes and tell us what that's all about?
Yeah. I'm really into like anime and manga. And I'm a artist illustrator. So I do a lot of other things besides music. Like that's probably on me to like not actually like show the whole thing. So I'm a poet, I'm a writer, I'm a visual artist, a graphic designer. And Nova Pug Mythos is like the parts of my creativity that is like outside of like the Michael the Starseed is like a stage, you know what I'm saying, performance type of thing going on. Nova Punk Mythos is more of like um I'd say like a multimedia company where I have a story that I'm working on, a graphic novel. And that is going to be published through Nova Punk Mythos. And there's where I show my visual art, like what I draw, my paintings and things like that.
All right. So you enjoy being a visual artist, like painting and drawing and stuff like that. I wasn't even going to ask you this at first, but since you kind of went down the road, I'm just going to go ahead and ask you. So at some point, do you plan on like making money from it, like as an actual business, or is it just something that you do, or do you look at it as more as a hobby?
The visual art aspect? Yeah. I do plan on making money from it. I definitely have been transitioning into that, especially this year, of like realizing that my craft is worth value and I should assert that. So I literally just opened my store up last week, michaelthestarseed.com. You can buy canvas prints of my paintings there. And moving forward, publications of, my graphic novel, which is titled Ocean in the Sky, going to be coming out on there as well. And that's where people are going to be able to purchase the type of products that I have. So like I plan on merch lines too and things like that.
All right. So I purposely asked you those questions because I wanted the audience to know that you're not just a music artist, that you also do other forms of art. But with that being said, if you had to choose between visual art, like, being a drawing, painting and things like that, or making music, which one would you choose and explain why?
Ooh, I don't know if I really could choose. That's like picking between my left and my right arm. You know, like is they're both parts of me, and like I use them both at different times for different reasons. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I might be in my art bag, sometimes I might be in my music bag. Sometimes they like they inspire each other. So like the one really wouldn't be without the other in my mind.
Okay, so basically you telling the audience that you can't live without either one of them. So you either got to choose both of them or you ain't messing with none of it at all. I got you. Um,
Yeah.
so I ran across a picture of you holding a guitar. So I had to ask you, do you actually know how to play the guitar, or were you just trying to take a artistic picture for the gram?
So that was an acoustic. I think I know what you're talking about. It's actually an acoustic bass guitar. Um, and I can get around on it. You know what I mean? It's not my main instrument for sure, but I definitely am trying to learn.
So with that being said, are there other instruments that you know how to play?
Yeah. So I play piano, drums, and saxophone.
So you just a jack all trades. You just do a little bit of everything, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was in band in high school. You know what I mean? Like that's how I learned. I taught myself how to play sax. Um, I definitely want to pick it up because I know like you definitely lose the muscles for it over time. But like I stuck with keys. Like there's literally keys. Well, there's sheet music on it right now,
Yeah, I
but
can see it.
yeah.
All right. So take a few minutes and talk to us about the song title "I See You."
Hmm. Okay, so it connects to some of the other questions as well. So um, this is my debut single, but it's not necessarily my first time releasing music onto the internet or out there. It's specifically under this name, I'm Michael the Starseed, that I See You is the first song. So it came to me in inspiration actually last month. Um, I had been holding an event called Garden of Hearts where I was putting out my debut project called Growing Out Loud. Originally, it was 5 tracks. I had a live band and I told them we're going to be doing 5 songs. And then I got the inspiration for this song in the process of that. So it was in between like 2 rehearsals or something like that. And I wanted to change it to 6. Um, but there was like logistical reasons for not doing that. But it definitely tied in immaculately to the story. The story being Garden of Hearts was a place where it's like garden is you're watering, pouring into something, investing in something, taking care of something. Hearts is yourself, is your inner world, your emotions, love, us as people, our relationships with other people. So it's supposed to be a space where we're really nurturing ourselves and our relationships with other people. And for me, the music was a way of facilitating that by showing my relationship developing with myself and like growing from point A to point B, which is point A being the first track and point B being the last track. Um, and track number 5 was As I Am. I'm coming to the world as I am. So the step after that was then this track right here, which is I See You. That's actually me as I am today talking to the past version. So that's ticking all together. But the first song is me as a kid, like me growing up, like how that experience was, growing up in Randolph, like we were talking about earlier. Um, grow, different growing up being a part of different neighborhoods too, like different circles and stuff like that. Like people knew me, like people knew my whole name, but they didn't know me. You know what I mean? So that led me to feeling like invisible. And that's the name of the first track. So going all the way from invisible, where I don't see myself, to I see you, as in I see myself, that was that whole thing all the way coming together. And that's what that song's about.
All right. So how would you describe your music to somebody that's never heard your music before?
Mm. Um, Musical journal entries is how I'd say it. Um, when I'm writing, it feels like journal entries. Um, Especially just based off the subject matter. But other than that, like I shy away from genre terms and stuff because like I go in and out of any genre. I feel like it. I just make what I like, and I let other people describe it.
All right. So it's funny that you said that because my next question was going to be, how would you classify it?
Mm,
And you basically saying that you really wouldn't classify your music in any kind of genre.
yeah, because I try to just I try to stay out of any box. Honestly, just try to make it sound how I want it to feel. And that's the most important thing. So if I need to get into this genre, then I'll figure that out. If I need to get into that genre, I'll figure it out. If I feel like rapping, I'll do it. If I don't feel like rapping, there's not gonna be any bars on the song.
All right. So the reason why I asked you this, I don't even know if you remember this group, but the song "I See You" kind of gave me the Arrested Development vibe.
I've gotten that before.
Yeah, as soon as I heard it, I was like, Tennessee. Lord, I really felt it. Oh, I was like, oh, okay, I see what he doing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's kind of the
yeah,
vibe it gave me. So that's why I asked the question. I was like, I wonder what did he classify it as, but that's cool though.
yeah. When I first I didn't always listen to hip hop, but like I started like in freshman year, and when I did, like I was listening to like De La Soul, A Tribe Called Quest. You know what I mean? The Funky Homo Sapien. That kind of stuff. So like that stuff, I think it still like lingers around in my sound for sure.
All right, so
That's like early
yeah, we're talking
inspirations.
about that real hip hop. All right, so
Yes, sir.
we just recently celebrated the 50th anniversary of hip hop. So with that being said, how do you feel about the current state of hip hop?
Ooh, I think that's a low key a loaded question, but at the same time, like I think that I feel optimistic about it. For the reason is that like hip hop is deeper than music. It's always been deeper than music to me. It's been about like black culture, and like even black culture is deeper than that. It's been about us and our energy. So like at any point in time, like we have the ability to like wake up and like define what this shit is today. So, and that includes with hip hop. So it's just like at any point in time, it's just like, and that's another reason why like I don't like to box myself in, because like what I was yesterday, I might not feel like doing that no more. So like that being said, like with the internet, with the globalization of society and like how fast things can go viral, like the ability to radically and almost instantaneously change culture is in the palm of our hands right now. So like whatever, like now is the time to experiment. All hip hop artists to be experimenting, continue being as authentic and genuine and adventurous and spontaneous as possible. Because really people are just looking for what they like. And like we have that now. Like that wasn't like that back then. And like the environment was cutthroat. Like you like there definitely was a standard of quality, but there also it was a narrow channel at the same time because of the powers that be, record labels and stuff like that. There was a lot of factors that it's like you had to be, a certain kind of, you had to survive. Honestly, that the need to survive is slowly like dissipating off of the collective. And because of that, it's going to be a space where boundless creativity is going to come up. It's only a matter of time.
All right, so let me ask you this: if you could collab with any music artist, who would you choose and explain why?
Solange. I love Solange's music. Uh, it's brought me through a lot of times where I needed solace, and like it just feels like the sound of solace. Um, there's a lot of artists on this list, but like Solange definitely came to mind first.
I want to make sure that we're talking about the same person. Are you talking about Beyonce's sister?
Yes, indeed, Solange Knowles.
I've never heard that answer before, and I just got to ask you this because I know a lot of people when they hear this, they go automatically think this. You're not saying that answer because you think it low key that man, if I could work with the sister, that it'll get me, access to be able to work with Beyonce.
No, I mean I love Beyonce too, but like I love Solange for Solange. Like at a certain point in time, I was like, I like Solange more than appreciate them both. Like I appreciate every artist for themselves, but like I really was like I am a Solange fan. Like listening to Tony, you know what I mean? Like,
Wow. All right.
yeah.
Oh man, I wouldn't expect that answer, but I like that. So let me ask you this, and maybe you won't be able to give me a good answer because now from doing this interview, you shared with us that being a guitarist is not your first instrument of choice. But I was going to ask you
Yeah.
to give me your top 5 guitarists dead or alive, and you could put them in any order.
Okay, top 5 guitarists. My dad. You know, my dad is an amazing guitarist. He's a virtuoso guitarist. Um, uh, Paco de Lucia, Paulinho Nogueira. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Um, Obviously, I got to go with Jimi Hendrix. Um, Michael Gunger.
All right.
I wouldn't say they're top, like as in like these are the most amazing guitarists of all time or anything like that. I don't like saying objective things like that, but like those are the ones that I resonate with the strongest.
All right. I mean, my list's a little different. I mean, like you said, it's all subjective, but I'll just share it with you. So I had Jimi Hendrix, BB King, Chuck
Yeah.
Berry, Carlos Santana, and Prince.
No, that's a very valid list. That's a very valid list for sure. I love all those artists as well.
So let me ask you this. So, what are your goals in regards to your music?
Um, so I'd say that one of my most immediate goals is to be able to create a lifestyle where it's like it where creativity is at the center, where it's like I can comfortably spend the majority of my time creating. Like that's just like the overarching, like, you know what I mean? If I get there, like the details, like you know what I'm saying? Like I'll be fulfilled with my life if I get that primarily. When it comes to music, my goal like is to connect with people, like emotionally connect with people spiritually. So that is the reason why like I want a wide platform for my music because I want it to be able to reach and access as many, you know, ears and minds as possible. Other than that, like socializing and stuff like that, like I don't know, like with the fame and all that, like that'd be kind of crazy to me. Um, yeah, because it's really just for the art for me.
All right. So the premise of this podcast is independent artists learning from other independent artists. So I had to ask you this question.
Mhm.
So, what mistakes, if any, have you made so far in your career that other people can learn from?
Um, Waiting to be perfect. Um, I spent a lot of time like not not outputting, not putting anything out because I felt like I had to be a certain type of way. And like if you, as a creative, you're better off just like putting out rough drafts and getting people who like vibe with you off of that because they're gonna actually stick with you. Rather than waiting to get to a point where it's like, oh, I should be on this or da 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 da. It's like still strive for these things, like you know what I mean? Even in scripture it says play skillfully. Like so like it doesn't like there's no part of the world where you circumvent having to be good at a thing. But not being where you want to be should not disqualify you so much as drive you to do it more.
I like that answer. And like I share with other artists that came on the podcast, when I do these things, I feel like we family, so I can share this with you. So I definitely like that answer. And I'll just kind of, share this with you as far as my podcast. So I started my podcast when I did for that, one of those reasons that you just said. Because, as people, we can always make excuses why we can't do something, because we can always say, oh man, I just need to wait till I get this, that, and the third. But for anybody that's listening to what I'm about to explain, if you go all the way back to my very first podcast, if you look at the video, I just had like a black curtain in the background. And I was like, man, I don't like how that looked. But I was like, you know what? I don't even care. I'm just gonna do it. And as the thing grows, people will see that it gets better over time, because with anything, the more you do it, the better you get. So obviously now you can see I don't have a black curtain behind me no more, but I didn't want to use it as an excuse not to start. So I just jumped in, both, feet first. And, I made mistakes, stumbled along the way, and I'm still learning. So of course, as I do it more and more to get better.
Yeah, exactly. Like the path of a creator is messy discovery. It's like you have to license yourself to find out. Like, go out and find out. Like, you're not gonna know ahead of time, and like you're not gonna know thrive in uncertainty. And really, like, confidence isn't I'm going to be good, or I'm going to be great, or I'm going to be better than everyone else. Confidence is really, even if I'm not, it'll be all right at the end of the day. Even if I'm not the best, even if I'm not, at least today, right? Even if I'm not the best today, if I mess up here, blah, 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 I'm not going to die. You know what I mean? From that, you know what I mean? But I will die eventually. And it's like, when that happens, how are you going to feel?
All right. So take the time to tell the audience anything that you want them to know that we haven't talked about already for whatever reason.
Anything else? Jujutsu Kaisen season 2 is fire. You need to get that. Watch it. You know what I mean? Get that premium. I hate the fact that they have it on premium, but like, I remember that like they used to. It's just good now. It's just good now. That's all I gotta say. I'm about to go watch it.
All right, so I have to say this. I think you're actually the first artist that anytime I've asked that question, everybody else has always used that opportunity to try to plug something that they have, or they're working on, or maybe a project that they know is coming in the future, or some other songs that they're working on. You're the first person that, instead of plugging your own stuff, you gave that opportunity to plug somebody else's stuff. But hey, I like it, man.
Yeah, I just love art, man. I just love art.
All right, so let me ask you this. Is there anything that you want to ask me?
I would say, what is your goal for this podcast in regards to like scaling it?
So I haven't came up with like a definitive goal, like I wanted to be this big, or make, or even if it ever got to the point where, I could potentially make money from it. But it's kind of like what you were saying with your music and your art. I would like it to get to the point where it could sustain itself, and it could become successful enough that if that's all I wanted to do is wake up and podcast, that I could do that and not necessarily have to worry about working a 9-to-5 job or whatever the case may be. So whatever that looks like, I would be happy with that.
That's valid. That's valid.
But I appreciate you asking me that. Sure. So before we get out of here, tell the audience where they can find you online.
Michael the Starseed. You can find me on all socials at Michael the Starseed. Twitter, Mr. Nagasi. MichaelTheStarseed.com. That's my shop. TikTok, also Michael the Starseed. SoundCloud, Michael the Starseed. You feel me? Coming to streaming services expeditiously. And look out for it.
All right, so I do want to let
Yeah.
everybody know when you going to look for his name, everything is spelled correctly. So don't think that you gotta be spelling stuff the wrong way. It's Michael the Star Seed, and all of the words are spelled like they should be spelled.
Precisely.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking time to come on the podcast, man. And I'm definitely gonna be
For sure, man. My
tuning
pleasure.
in to see what you got going on in the near future.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. You take care of yourself.